not here with Wes Spencer. We should be very shortly. I'm here. I'm Andrew Morgan. I'm joined with Zach Scherf. Zach, it says Director of Cybersecurity. I thought I would beg to differ. I thought you were the CISO of cyber.
I run it. Is the long and the short of it. But I'm the only one within Lyra doing it.
Okay.
Maybe
I'm promoting you.
There's almost enough benefit to it, just because when people are searching out for targeted attacks, they're not looking for me. They're looking for the top guy. So whatever, they're not finding.
There you go.
That's very clever.
It's an OPSEC advantage.
There's an OPSEC advantage, yes.
Speaking of top guys we want to target, there's Wes Spencer. Hey, Wes.
What's up? I am, of all bizarre places, I'm in the Ohio State Buckeyes Stadium.
Are you really?
So, yeah, I'm with Kaseya today. We've got one of their Connect local events, and so I'm speaking at it. So, yeah, so it's gonna be good.
Very, very cool. Hey, can you do me a favor and scream "Go Michigan" as loud as you can?
I don't know a lot about college sports, but I think I will be kicked out. And what do they call it? You should joke about that when I go live. Actually, let's do that.
We already are live. We're live.
Well, we're live, brother.
Live.
We're live.
Yeah.
Well, even better. Hey, everyone. What's going on? This is how. Okay, I got to share my story before we jump in. Then, so I pop into to Uber. I'm like taking the Ohio State Stadium, and it dropped me off at the basketball stadium. And I'm like, what? So I call another Uber, and the guy's like, yeah, it's an Uber problem. It always does this. You're not the first of this to happen. So I'm like, oh, great. So I'm rushing over here. Yeah, I'm not going to say the M word around here, though. That would be bad. That would be very bad.
Yeah.
Looks like Will Capes is showing up. Will, what's going on? It's good to see you, brother. Hope you are doing awesome. And the rest of you guys, show up in chat. Let us know who you are. Stephen Kellogg checking in. Good to see you as well, my friend. Stephen is a wonderful human. Man, this is going to be a fun discussion. Why don't we just do some, as if anyone doesn't already know everyone on here, but can we do some quick intros? Andrew, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I was just promoting Zach, so but yeah, sure. Thanks for having us, Wes. Andrew Morgan. I'm the founder of Write a Boom, and now 6 years in the making, the Cyber Call, Wes, and you were an original on that.
Yeah.
And that's still going strong to this day, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and so we've had a lot of fun times over the years on that.
Those were such fun times. Maybe we'll reminisce on a little bit of that here in a minute, and even talk about the future forward. But yeah, that's awesome. The esteemed Mr. Scherf, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I got a call from Andrew earlier in the week. He's like, "Hey, do you want to do this week?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I do. That would be great." For those who don't know me, my name is Zach Scherf. I'm the Director of Cybersecurity for Lyra. We're a large MSP platform. You may have heard of us under Evergreen, but I manage security for us.
I would expect most people have heard of Lyra, and probably most people know you as well, Zach. So thanks for joining us today. And Bob Miller, what's up?
Hey, man, it's good to see everybody again. I was I'm glad you figured out we were live before something horrible happened, so that was good. Bob Miller, founder and CEO of IR Game, also chief evangelist of Write a Boom. Known Wes and Andrew for quite a while, and just happy to be here to talk about what's going to go down this year at Write a Boom 2026.
Yeah, that's really the I think the heart of the story. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some of the really cool things that's happening at Write a Boom. There's several things I want to make sure we talk about. We'd love to hear from you guys, and then in chat, if you guys have questions, if you want to know a little bit more about a session, if you want to know anything more about the conference and why people should attend, if you've come before, if you've never gone, all of those kind of things, for sure, let us know. Andrew, why don't you set us up here? Write a Boom has been happening a good number of times. This is not the first foray. I would love for you to kind of walk through, just in your mind, what is special and different about Write a Boom this year compared to what it's been in the past few years.
Yeah, thanks for the setup, Wes. So this is year 5 coming up, and I'd say, every year we try to get better. Like, you learn what worked the previous year, you learn what didn't work. And at the heart of Write a Boom, it was always our mission to improve security maturity and profitability for MSPs in the channel, right? We're agnostic. We have no, unlike, other conferences, we're not in the vendor showcase. We have nothing to push, right? It's how can we, deliver the best content. That's always been our mission, and bring the best MSPs, the best vendors together, and just have an incredible event. So after about 100 or so Zoom post-event interviews, and deciding to build a MSP advisory council, a lot of things came out of those meetings and the information, right? Probably the thing that I was most excited about was working with the 12 MSPs, Bob being one of them, and it in the group of MSPs, Wes, really encapsulate our attendees, meaning the bell curve of our attendees. So on one side, you have, an Eric Monroe that's, a $3 to $5 million MSP. Then you jump into, the Eric Woodards, and you start to get into what I call the meaty middle, right? You have the Insights, the 5 9s, right? And then you start to come over to the, the Thrives of the world, and the Integrises, and so we have this bell curve, right? Oh, and then the awesome Melissa and Joy, Summit 7. So specialized MSPs as well. Thanks for sharing that, Wes. And so
yeah,
we worked hand in hand with them based on the feedback I got, and said to the advisory council, what is it that you really feel you need in your business today, from a education perspective, from an to help drive the business forward, both technically, operationally, and business wise? Let's just brainstorm. And we sat for several hours, multiple times, and built what these sessions might look like. We let the MSPs then vote for several months on them. And the other big thematic that we learned, Wes, was, did I lose everybody?
nope, you're here. Yep, I'm just spotlighting you.
No, you're here.
I'm like, wait a minute. Because I've had the restream nightmares where, like, I'll have Bob being like, I recall, and I'm like, they're like, yeah, we lost Andrew again. So the other thing we learned, Wes, is that on the margin, MSPs will go to less conferences. And so there's really 2 buckets of money MSPs have, right? They have conference money, and they have training, education, and certification money, right? And I got some really good advice about, like, look, lean in hard to this other bucket of money. Help us, get certified. Help us get our engineers, trained on things that they really need, our level 1 or level 2s. And then, because we have a very, last thing I'll say, Wes, we have a very kind of dichotomous group. We have, very technically minded people that come, that want to sit with the John Strands of the world and, bang on keyboards and get very technical, and those types of certifications, or in-tune certifications. But then we have the executives, right, that want to sit with Emily Ann Fogarty on building governance, or a Scott Edwards, a Summit 7, and a Joy on building their CMMC practices, or a Brian Blakely on building their vCISO practice. So
Right.
It's very intentional, a lot more workshops. So I'll pause there and see if that helps kind of frame out what's different this year.
It does. Like, I think it really, I love the direction. And I'll just say, and then Zach, I'd love to get some thoughts from you on this too. I think you did the right thing by starting with an advisory council of very well-respected folks. Then it's diverse in terms of MSP size, in terms of the panel itself, or the advisory council itself. I think that's awesome. And so I want to talk a little bit more, Zach, from the MSP voice. What gets you excited personally about Write Boom this year, especially what Andrew's been chatting with us about?
Yeah, I think really two things. One, I think Andrew hit the nail on the head, and that's from the kind of collective feedback gathering, which is just that like there's a ton of value, as we know, in our industry and networking, right? Like we get that. I think I saw 2 of the 3 at IT Nation 2 weeks ago. Like that's wonderful, and there's definitely something to be said for that. I think on the security side, it's you're almost making it too difficult to say no to by including certifications, right?
Mm-hmm.
We obviously all know the value of the in-person networking side, but to send somebody to this, and maybe to send somebody who wouldn't normally go, right? Like a tier 3, a systems engineer, somebody where if you're building a culture of security within your MSP, you don't necessarily want that to come just from the top down. You want everybody in your organization to be aligned to it. And so how do you align people to it? One, you get people excited about it. I think this is like a benefit for people. I remember when I was early in my career, I was always really excited to get to go to conferences and things like that. And so, by aligning it with more of the training budget and making it so there's a really easy business case to be made to say, hey, we're going to send 3 of you to this year, our CISO or head of security within the MSP, and then 2 people who are interested in security so that they can grow their own resume a little bit more and make the entire org more secure. I think that's probably the thing that I'm most excited about, is just a much wider audience this year.
Oh, Wes, I think
we can't hear you.
Yeah, it might be my fault for hitting the mute button on myself. Yeah, I love that, Zach, and I think you're exactly right. That need to be able to have some kind of tangible, what did I get out of this, right? We all think about this, right? And none of us are saying anything negative about the other conferences that are out there. But at the end of the day, I think we all owe ourselves, hey, I sent my people somewhere. They went away for a few days. What do we get out of it? Just as a company, what results do we get? What tangible things? And so I think you're right. I think tapping into that certification perspective does open up, changes things quite a bit, and really makes it more palatable, I think, for leadership to say, I'll invest in my people. I just want to know they're coming back with some value that's going to add to the company itself. And so, Bob, maybe that turns to a question for you, if I may.
Sure.
You've been very involved at the advisory council level. You've been an MSP. You've been the COO at a really great MSP, but now with IR games as well. What gets you excited about this year's CyberCall? No, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
mean,
Freudian
Write Boom.
slips.
I know
Write
they're
Boom and
intermixed.
CyberCall. Oh, Adam Boat. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my second major conference that I ever went to from a cybersecurity standpoint was Write Boom, right? And it was the second year of the meeting. And what to Zach's point, the networking was such a big part of that, but also just the content, the concentration of content. So that got me hooked many years ago. And so I guess it's I actually use that as the ruler that I put other conferences up to after that point, right? Because that's how big a deal it was for me personally. And so, over the years, we've seen things kind of move and change in the whole conference space. But the thing, and again, like Andrew talked about, when after this year's conference, he was soliciting feedback, and everybody that knows him and knows how much he cares about this conference, right? It's not just a conference. This is Andrew loves, the Write Boom conference and the cyber call, and he puts his heart and soul into it. And I think that's reflective of the content and the people that are a part of the organization, and also a part of the content that gets generated by the speakers themselves. But the thing that I really thought was really profound was how much Andrew wanted to take input from us as participants or conference goers, as MSPs. He really wanted to make sure that he got it right. And it wasn't all about what was wrong. It was about the evolution. I mean, I think that's the bigger story here, is these conferences in general are evolving, as Andrew was pointing out. So the ability to step back and look at it holistically and say, okay, well, what can we do to provide the absolute most value for the people who participate in these conferences? it's not the same anymore. It's not just good cocktail hours, you know, and glad hand anymore. Now it's down to, hey, we got to be able to roll our sleeves up and actually get our hands dirty. And then when we walk away with an advanced skill or something that we can take home with us that improves the value of our organization going forward. So I think that is what really was recognized by Andrew and the advisory team, and say, hey, you know, let's lean into that even more. It was there, but let's lean into it even more with more distinction and more flexibility in how you do this. And there's some, I'll let Andrew reveal whatever he wants to, but there's some aspects to this conference about how it's going to be structured and organized that I think are profoundly unique. And I honestly believe it's going to wind up being the blueprint that other people are going to be comparing themselves to for an event like this, because I honestly believe it's a very innovative, if you could say such a thing about a conference, which most people do not see, you know, the you know, innovation in the same terms as that. I do. I think that Andrew has really put together, you know, with advice from others, but he has put together something that I think is going to wind up being the blueprint that other people are going to wind up comparing themselves to as we go forward.
I just want to piggyback on that a little bit.
Go, Zach.
Yeah, so I've done, Andrew, I remember when we were talking about one of the early versions of that. You know, I've done a number of the SANS trainings, and honestly, outside of the enterprise, they're really quite cost prohibitive, right? And when you look at that model, it is a number of training sessions leading to a certification over a period of time. And then you get that social aspect in between classes or with, you know, kind of your cohort and things like that. But you know, I think one of the things that Right at Boom is doing is like democratizing that security information, right? It is so much more reachable in a way where, or for the same budget, you can send significantly more people to it. And, you know, one of the things that when I took my original SANS course many years ago that I loved was that they give you a template to say, hey, here's how you justify the ROI on this back to your senior leadership. Here's how they know that, you know, every dollar they spend is going to have a real return for the business. And I think, Andrew, you and I worked on something like that, and that's been included this year. And that's, I think, just a phenomenal idea that makes it a really, really easy way for, especially for security people, where we're, myself included, always challenged to speak the language of the business, around the benefit of getting your people trained up in security.
Yeah, that was definitely an inspired idea by you, Zach. Thank you for that. So we built the justification letter. You can download it, give it to a boss. And then, but Wes, my question back to you is years 1 and 2, you were MC. We're now in year 5. Robert Chaffee did an awesome year 4 MC. You're back, which we're thrilled about. So let's talk about what you're excited about. And also, I'd love to talk about your workshop. And then I'd love to talk about a few others. So,
yeah. Cool. I like it. It harkens back to the original days, and I always think it's fun to not just reminisce, but also just kind of revisit and reappreciate some of the original things, right? And so I love, as the MC, I get to have that opportunity to sort of be the bow tie, you know, that kind of stitches the sessions together. I think one of the strengths of Right of Boom is that it tells a story. You know, when you look at the cohesive sessions, they're not accidental. They're not just, you know, I paid money and therefore I get to make it a sales pitch. It's really intentional about, I'm going to teach people something because I know my reputation's on the line. I know that people expect when they come away from this, like we've been talking about, there's tangible benefits that come out of it. And so to me, you know, just sort of being able to stitch all that together is to me, it's a lot of fun, right? And just kind of being, I'm not necessarily someone that just loves the limelight, but I love having the ability to just bring people together and really tying it together and lead some Q&A and, you know, all the things I think go with a good MC that really makes it a you know, kind of capstones the entire thing as a great event. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it. You know, I have, Andrew, actually, funny enough, I had a friend who doesn't work in the MSP space, works in a very large enterprise investment firm. And he messaged me ironically last night. He says, tell me about Right of Boom. He's like, I recognize all these speakers. He's like, I know Sunil Yu. I know John Strand. Like, he's like, this is incredible. Can I come? I'm like, well, it's kind of meant for MSPs, but it's like, to me, I guess all I'm saying is you look at the quality of speakers, you look at what's happening. You don't find this anywhere else. It rings almost like it's the Black Hats of the day, back in the day when that was like the can't miss event. Like, I really do feel like what Write a Boom is doing is hearkening back to the ethos of those kinds of events, which is what, Andrew, I think people want. They want something. Content matters, and I think the reason that Write a Boom went from such a small niche event for year one into what it is today is because the content has been that's what matters, and that's really what draws people in. And so, Andrew, that's what I'm most excited about.
Very cool. So talk a little bit about your workshop. Tuesday night, we call these the pre days. And by the way, just Wes, in terms of pre days, you were competing, and I'm joking around, right? There's 4 of them. Kelvin Tegelar's SIP certification. You want to talk about the thirst for education and certification? Completely sold out. Like,
why am I not surprised?
Yeah,
This one here, right? With Ashley and
yeah, over 120 people trying to, and we're still early in Reg, right? Reg is tracking very heavily. People are like, can you do another one? So we don't know if we'll do another one yet. We're going back and forth with Ash and Kelvin and the team. We're going to see what we're going to do there. But talk about your session there, Mr. Wes. And
I'd love to. So here's ours. We're calling it Left of Boom, Right of Mind, training for high stakes human response. And where this really came about, I was really brainstorming with a few friends, and we talk a lot about, of course, the idea of Right of Boom is at some point you cross the dividing line. At some point an incident happens, right? And so I think as an industry, we've gone down this road of deep maturity and deep preparedness, and where we see ourselves today compared to maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'd say pretty significant difference in maturity among MSPs, which is what we've all been missionally aligned to. But one of the things that it's been forefront of my mind is you think about how many new people come into an MSP every year, right? Those new people are coming in with no experience. I always like to joke and say MSPs don't hire from the NSA and Microsoft. They hire from Starbucks and the Ford dealership and Best Buy. And so you bring new folks in who love technology, who have probably good people skills, but they've never been in the trenches before, right? And they're learning as they're going. And so if we think about this new influx of talent that's constantly coming in, what are we doing to prepare them for their first time to go Right of Boom, right? And so the best time to prepare for it is when we're left of boom, right? And so that kind of got me thinking of, what would be really cool is doing a workshop that's really based around skills development, that's based around this idea of preparation for the human element of going Right of Boom, because you hear it from Rob Chaffee, you hear it from IR people that are in the trenches. How often do you hear them say it's the people that cause things to go really well or really poorly? You see the Chris Lair talking about I'll never forget him sharing one story of one of his clients. Someone went off the reservation and just attacked the threat actor and said, "I'm going to find you and hunt you down and kill you," right? And that doesn't go well, right? Or you hear the horror stories of people saying, "I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I quit." Or just the preparation for the unknowns and the stress that comes with it. And so that's what this workshop is all about, is preparing ahead of time for the people side of an incident. And we're going to deal with things like cognitive load and how do we measure for that? How are we aware of not going overboard with that? We're going to talk through things like role preparation, who should be doing what, and building a skill matrix out so that we don't necessarily, here's a hot take, the CEO is rarely the right person to be the incident commander, because they're the closest to the company. They're the closest to the heartbeat and the soul of it. And they're probably not going to be rationally thinking in a minute like this. You need someone that's a little bit more detached. And so, Zach, I know I'm going to turn this to you. I actually kind of proofed that with you. I'm like, Zach, what do you think? Is there a there to this? Like, what are your thoughts around this whole element? So I'd love, Zach, for you just to share kind of your thoughts about that type of workshop. And I know you're going to be dropping in and helping us if we can make that work. I'd love to just hear your perspective here.
On the Left of Boom side?
Yeah, just on that workshop of left of boom skills development for when we go right of boom. Yeah.
I think, you know, there's you touched on the intro to that, the sourcing and getting into IT, like from MSPs, like, you know, myself included. I started you know, close to a decade ago now, left the Apple store, an Apple retail store, right? And then moved into an Apple centric MSP. And one of the things that I, you know, learned there wasn't just, you know, I'd always had a technical affinity, but I remember going in there in the first 3 months, just failing so quickly at the like teamwork and dynamic side of that, right? Of just understanding what it was like to work on a team of 100 people that's really well orchestrated, where the relationships already exist. And the candid truth is, regardless of the size of the MSP, it is exactly the same for that, right? And so, you know, even though you may have those people skills, translating that and understanding what it's like to come in with a level of humility to you know, just adapt into a new workspace is its own set of challenges. Now, doing that while managing a major security event without a playbook, or without like any kind of an exercise to go through that formally is a recipe for disaster. I worked with a number of people who were, you know, military trained, and they'd always said, you know, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your level of training, you know, in a crisis. And so, you know, one of the things that I'm most excited for is just giving MSPs the tools, and really more than that, just an argument that it needs to be prioritized over some of the technical work to run through and train their teams through an incident response, to understand what it looks like to do a tabletop, to do things like I preach this constantly, like a risk register, like to go through and just understand what's in the environment, so you have an understanding of what it looks like when you know, have an attack, what needs to be secured, what needs to be locked down. It's the reason that we did fire drills in elementary school through high school. Like, now all of us know what to do when a fire alarm is pulled. And I think that there's just a huge opportunity to bring that front of light and to say, hey, this isn't a difficult thing to do. It's just something you need to set aside time to do. And then, you know, if you do it, the payoff is tremendous. And you can pass that information forward to your clients, right? Because they'll have incident response plans. They'll be relying on you. They're going to need that same level of understanding and training. And, you know, ultimately, the practice grows large enough that can be a line of business.
Yeah. So that now you've heard it, right? This is why I don't think we can underestimate or overestimate. We can't overestimate the importance and value of this. And so I would just say to those listening, if you're thinking about my workshop, you know, the right folks that would be coming to this one would be people that are going to be in some type of IR leadership role, and potentially people that you feel like might eventually go that direction. Right. And so this is where, you know, just broadly speaking, you need to be thinking, if your leadership in MSP, is not just who are my people today, what role are they in, but what role do they want to get in? And let's make sure we're investing in them now so that they're going to be prepared and ready for it. So, Andrew, the question for you.
I want to piggyback on that, because you said IR leadership role, and I think it's really important to like expand the scope of that. If you do not have a dedicated IR leadership role, which, you know, almost none of the MSPs that I've worked with had, you probably need to understand that that's you, right? Like, if you're the senior most security person in an org like that, and you're the person, if you ask yourself, you know, if something gets hacked, am I going to be the first email, the first Slack, the first call? Like, you're in an IR leadership role. This is for you.
Yeah. Which goes back to this whole, like, even skills and role development. Like, have we assessed who should be doing what? I don't think a lot of us have done that.
Nope.
No, absolutely, and definitely not documented it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what better time than when it hits the fan, right? I'm joking. Definitely ahead of time. So, Andrew, you said that Kelvin and Ash's session is sold out, which is bonkers to me. So the time sensitivity matters, right? And I meant to put this up. I'm going to pop up a QR code for anyone that's watching today and you have not registered for Right of Boom. There is a QR that will take you over there. Make sure you get registered. Make sure you get your team involved now, because not only do you need to be registered to get into the pre-day, but the pre-days are filling up. And so, Andrew, I'm going to share my screen out again. I'd love for you and Bob just to walk through a little bit of what other pre-days. Walk us through what else is on the docket here for especially the pre-day, and then we'll walk through the next set after that.
Sure. Well, I just looked up yours, by the way, Wes. You have 9 spots left. So
I didn't know.
there's definitely interest in yours too.
Man, that's great to hear. Yeah.
So I do need to still color code a few of these, but like just starting off the top one, Horizon 3, like it doesn't get, arguably, Zach, you probably can chime in on this too. In terms of legitimate red teaming, autonomous pen testing solutions, things that test EDR efficacy, like this is a legit tool used by the biggest of enterprises, the biggest of consulting firms, the KPMGs, the Accentures. But the cool thing about it is they, led by Mark Inderhees, who many of us know, they've brought it also ability down market now. So it's in the Pax8 marketplace, et cetera, et cetera. They're doing a 3.5-hour certification workshop. So that is a certification as well. Zach, any comments on that one from you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'll be brutally honest here. I think that it's probably like an incredible platform and to understand here. I think that if you're, looking at where in your maturity journey pen testing is, it is definitely the most exciting thing, right? But it probably takes like a little bit to say, okay, should we be doing pen testing if we don't have an asset inventory? Back to the previous discussion about left of boom, right? Like it is based around the fundamentals. So I'm like, this is going to be an extremely exciting thing to look at, but let's not let the excitement or the shininess of it take over the, historically. And Wes, I know that you will not make it boring, but I think historically, governance and preparation isn't an easy sell, but it is critically important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah, there's definitely, we got some massive MSPs coming, so that one's already filling up. Interesting ones, we talked about SIP already. SaaS Alert's a big platform, obviously used, now under the Kaseya umbrella, but really becoming a phenomenal SaaS SOAR, Wes. So they're having a certification platform. It's going to be tabletop-like, and if you guys don't know Ben Jones and Chip Buck, like really awesome practitioners and fun, engaging. It's going to be tabletop-like, hey, here's a new IOC. How do we configure this? How do we look at being able to stop? We've got a real attack going on right now at token harvesting, hijacking, etc. That's going to be an action-packed one as well. So excited about that.
Chip is the man. So's Ben. That's going to be a great one. Yeah. So let's shift down into So what do we have here? Can we talk about this MD 102?
What I'm excited about, this is where we get into like arguably, some really legit certifications. And what's I'm excited about is we're going to have Microsoft in a fairly major way showing up, and folks like the director of Intune, and they're really what's cool about it, Wes, is you go to a session like this, trained by 2 Microsoft MVPs, certified trainers, and they are going to hand you a voucher at the end, courtesy of Microsoft. And so I can go now sit. By the way, they also gave vouchers to SIP. So anybody in the SIP also got a Microsoft voucher. But so it's cool to see Microsoft stepping up and showing up and really wanting to, they're going to be there really wanting to listen to the MSPs. And how we can all work better together, because they're such a big part of our ecosystem, as we all know.
Yeah, exactly right.
We're going to say something?
I have some thoughts on this. I love this, right? I was just talking to a couple of our opcos last week. We were able to get together at an event, and one of the things that I was asked is a hot take, which is just that overall, I think we as an MSP industry need to be really thinking about what the post RMM world looks like, right? if I had it my way in the next 5 years, we would be, done with RMMs almost entirely. I think the writing's kind of on the wall. I think Microsoft is probably going to get stricter around kernel level access. I think it's really obvious to see what the risks of RMMs can be, right? Like we're seeing it as an attack vector already. We're seeing, people doing social engineering to get in and install RMMs on workstations that don't have, hardened configuration. And they're huge, like they have just a massive level of access. And I come from the Mac OS management world where an RMM was effectively useless, right? Like you needed to use Apple Business Manager and an MDM. And so like for device management, I'd always thought of MDM first. And it's been wild to watch Intune's product cycle and just get so much more usable and so much more scalable, and to see things like, SIP to be able to manage multiple tenants through this. I think something like this is so critically important for every MSP to consider, especially as they're trying to figure out, okay, what does the next model look like for us as we start to consider things like conditional access, like most companies are using 100% SaaS and in the cloud at this point. So to me, there's so much value in this just in that one aspect, not even considering the user interface or the user experience improvements and things like that.
Hey, Zach, can I ask you a question? Maybe Wes as well. Microsoft just announced Windows 11 and Server 2025 with built-in Sysmon. Do you think that's part of the writing on the wall as well, Zach? That now that kind of being able to pull that telemetry, not have to install additional things to do threat hunting and, Wes, your days at Perch, like that's a pretty big deal to have that. Like, I know Strand talks about Sysmon, as a big thing in his, thing that he does and teaches. So Zach, your take, and then love yours, Wes, from the Perch, days.
Yeah, I think it's just the next step in what Microsoft has been doing, right? Like when you look at how they're vertically integrating their entire stack and offering more and more, and how they've added so much, really I have to take my hat off for all the things they've included in Business Premium, right? If you're an enterprise, you're paying 2-3 times as much for a license with similar capability. And I think that it is just, again, back to the value of Write a Boom. If we look at what people, and ultimately it's the companies themselves, not the MSPs who are paying for the Microsoft licenses. They're paying for a large amount of functionality that's in that. And so really, if we're being good stewards of our clients' budgets, it's our responsibility to understand what we can do within the platforms that they're already paying for, not just the platforms that we want to use or that are easier for us. And I think it just has the benefit of, in a lot of cases, being a little bit more secure. So I think this is just that next step in like adding more value to vertically integrate. And then the benefit of that, obviously you've got some concentration risk, but I think overall, if I were to look at Microsoft's investment to security and things like this over the past handful of years versus the, kind of average security vendor targeting SMB, I'd probably think Microsoft's a little bit of a lower risk.
Got it. How about you, Wes?
Every MDR that's out there, nearly every MDR that's out there has been using Sysmon for quite some time, right? It's baked into the visibility stack, right? It's one of those things that's been a critical behind the scenes component. So bringing that forward, making that extensible, making that standard, I think is the right move. And none of this makes MDR, don't hear any of us saying this makes MDRs irrelevant, anything like that. All it's doing is just, as Zach said, it's unifying the stack together, and it's bringing deeper, and it's a continued journey of deeper visibility into all of the things in the Windows architectural ecosystem. And that's what we need, right? That's continually what we need. If MSPs are going to be centralized around Microsoft, and they are, having that deeper visibility is just a critical thing. So that was my thought when I saw that too. I'm like, good. That's the right move. We all applaud that.
Yeah.
From the MDRs to the MSPs to the security nerds, we all applaud that.
I think, we were just about, to talk a little bit about what was next. And, we'll have John Strand and, John and 2 other instructors from Black Hills, for those haven't taken Black Hills courses, Bob, what would you say to those that you know,
Well, I don't even know if I know what to say to somebody that hasn't taken a Black Hills course, but I mean, I can tell you as an MSP, there's no more in-depth resource than the Black Hills folks and what they have from a training program standpoint. And John and his team are also because if people don't know this, they have a pay what you can sort of a methodology on a lot of their training, right? And so I mean, you can literally, no matter what economic situation you're in from a managed service providing standpoint, if you're brand spanking new or regardless of who you are, you can get this training. There is literally no way that you can't get the training. So, and the depth of the training and the years of experience and the continual evolution, that they go through. I don't know of anything else like it in our ecosystem whatsoever.
well, and what Zach said, Zach, you've done SANS courses, right? These are all former SANS instructors, some of the tops, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting courses, trainers that normally would be charging $9,000 for 5 days of training.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Moving on to more Microsoft. So building AI agents and Copilot. Again, Microsoft's literally involved in that one themselves. This is the precursor to that certification. Obviously, they can't do the entire course. I think it would take about 9 hours, but it is a fairly good chunk of it into it. Wes, I don't know if you remember Emily Ann.
Do you remember Emily Ann? Super sharp. Yeah.
Oh my God. She was the Ryan Weeks deputy CISO. She's now been a CISO on her own for, probably 5-6 years. Absolutely brilliant. I think one of the best in helping organizations build governance and actually governance programs. And she does understand, literally based on the current role she has at this company called NICER, which is working with small organizations that deliver services as well. So this is not going to be a hypothetical. And then we're going to have some MSPs in there that have successfully. I'm calling out Kevin Fraley, who's coming, who's really awesome at governance. So hopefully he's in that session, and we'll get some MSPs talking and actually sharing about how they do it, build governance into their practices. Real quick, Jason Garbus, literally, if I could go grab it, Wes, he literally wrote the book Zero Trust and was the chief architect. Chief architect behind AppGate, which is used by the majority of the Department of Defense when it comes to ZTNA. This was the most voted session and workshop. How to build.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Zero Trust was the number one. So
the advisor committee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the MSPs as well, Bob, as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. It was a top choice in the MSPs. Yes, that's right.
So Jason, again, you're talking about an EINS level instructor. For those that don't know, go Google EINS. Again, Zach can attest to this. These are the top instructors, not just like MSPs are going to hear. These are the top instructors that enterprises go to listen to. And Jason brings it down to our level. He's also the chair of the Cloud Security Alliance Department of Zero Trust. I'll say one more and then we'll jump to Bob himself. So for those of you out there that want to know anything about CMMC, we brought the 800-pound gorilla and awesome, arguably two of the most awesome people in the channel, just amazing humans. Scott Edwards and Joy talking about working with the Defense Industrial Base, how to improve your MSP in that area, because that's certainly a hot topic to say the least these days. So
no question.
And they're go-givers for 100%. Like, they help they're a Black Hills, if you will, equivalent of helping organizations navigate the DIB. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. That's filling up very quickly as well. So
that
Bob,
one will absolutely fill up. Yeah, who's this Bob Miller guy? And what's this IR games thing that everyone's talking about?
Yeah, well, I mean, the to Zach's point earlier, right, is one thing to have a plan, is a whole other thing to actually be able to practice that. And so, we're going to be able to actually bring our system to a pre-day. And the difference between it and normal tabletop exercises is this is an online multiplayer version to where you can actually have dynamic elements to the scenario that happen real time while you're actually engaged in the process. So everybody has a role, they're playing a role. The system responds to the way people answer. There's some audience participation elements to it that make it real time. This is all real time. You're not going to be staring at PowerPoints. This is actually a live environment that responds to the actions of the people who are actually engaged in the exercise real time. So there's a bunch of curveballs. You know, the sessions that we've done lately are, you know, we were able to actually build in some AI browser compromise. That's a new subject matter, right, Zach, about these new AI browsers that have this wide context that spreads across session bases. And, you know, I know that we are one of the first exercise groups to actually put that up and put people through it. We staged that in an attorney's office, and we actually ran some attorneys through it the other day, and that was exciting to say the least. That was very exciting. But the point is that, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to have a pre-day where we actually take a current scenario, and we're going to put people through the actual process of running through that exercise in real time. And then we're going to shoot to have a panel afterwards to kind of talk and debrief so people can take away, you know, a certification about having actually gone through the process. So yeah, that's what the session's about.
I love it. That one's going to be just awesome. Really, really looking forward to that, Bob, because I've done IR games with you before, and I know
Yeah.
how great it is. Yeah.
We've been doing a free
Andrew,
one at the end of every month, so that was, you know, so this is a continuation. So
absolutely, yeah. And if you haven't jumped in on what Bob's doing with IR games, you absolutely need to. Absolutely. What else do we have, Andrew, that you want to talk through?
Yeah, I think just maybe we'll jump to the main stage, Wes, where you'll be on. You know, if you just scroll down a touch, these are all the pre-day workshops by the sponsors. This is table stakes. One of the cool things, Wes, is historically Wednesday morning, you know, you hung around, you registered and waited till the pre-days started at 1. Well, no longer. I mean, this is going to get going Tuesday night with you and others. And then Tuesday afternoon, we're going to have a full vendor showcase on Wednesday and lunch. And then our fun cocktail reception. And then we're going to kick things off. This is where you and I get on stage, Wes, kick things off. And, you know, we can take a look at who's on main stage. These are not lightweights who are presenting.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
So yeah, thrilled. Kyle's first time at Right of Boom will be main stage. And we made a conscious decision, by the way. The only sponsor main stage is the Diamond. All the content, again, is it's educational content. There's no pitch. But having Sunil back, I think, is going to be awesome. You know, this is a gentleman that I think arguably, you know, is considered one of the top minds in the world in cybersecurity in terms of leadership in building models. You know, you've known him for many years, going all the way back for FS ISAC, and when he was chief data scientist at Bank of America, Wes. He's like, everybody that listens to Sunil walks out of there mind blown. And these are things you can use. They're not like, oh my gosh, I heard all this hyperbolistic stuff and I can't use it. He distills down how to actually model things and implement it. So what are your thoughts on Sunil?
It's gonna be so good, right? Like, I think you said it right, Andrew. So much of what Sunil is really good at is frameworks and just a way to get your brain thinking about something. Like, how do I contain this concept to go from theory to practical application? And models are very useful for this, right? Like, we all know this. We have models for so many things we do in life, whether it's the cybersecurity framework or CIS controls, or, you know, it's what Sunil's done previously with Cyber Defense Matrix. These are the models that help us convey to express, to ideate, to continue to develop. And so I'm very well aware of Gnostic and what they're doing. And like you said, it's not really about Gnostic. It's really just about what Sunil is doing overall at, thinking through what truly is AI. How should MSPs be thinking about it? What are some of the ways we can really start to bring that forward? And so I personally, that's the one. I mean, I love me some Kyle. Don't get me wrong. This is going to be amazing. But Sunil is the one I've got targeted to be front row with popcorn to be eating it and a notebook in hand to be writing, because it's going to be so good.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned, we talked about Jason Garbus already, but right below it, I got a story here. Bill McLaughlin is one of my favorite people who I've known for 2 decades in the space. Hysterically funny, brilliant leader, CEO of Thrive. And I said to Bill, when I was doing the interviews, the post-event interviews I go, Bill, you never sit in any sessions. All right. So I got a question for you. Give me a session you would sit through. And he sat there and thoughtfully, he said, all right, I'll give you a session. He goes, but you got to do the work. He goes, give me 3 end customers, not MSPs. Get me 3 end customers of different sizes, and I'll interview them main stage on the psychology of their security and IT buying decisions. Let's get into the mind of actually our customer, how they buy, why they hire, why they fire, how they, take risk and turn it into business decisions, how they get budget, et cetera, et cetera. So this goes from Kevin being probably a 30 or so employee company that is in the legal space. Gustavo, who was involved in Cyber 74 for years, by the way, is now the CISO of a school authority in California, 100 plus, right? So we got the next level size, works with MSPs and an MSSP. And then Bill Long, who is also in the MSP space, we jumped to 1,000 employee company, right? That has CMMC requirements, does work with an MSP, has made changes. So we are going to, like I said, this is going to be really interesting to get into the actual mind of the buyer, that I think can be very helpful for the people, right, at Right of Boom to really understand, hey, why did that not land? Or, oh, no wonder that didn't land, because they're telling us why it doesn't land. So yeah, I'm really pumped about that session.
I remember, just quickly, Andrew, you did something very similar to that in the old days when I first met you. And we were doing some of the CISO peer discussion kind of stuff. And I remember you bringing a buyer in, and I remember how engaging that was. And it was so great for folks just to have honest discussions. And can I ask you this? And what would you do about that? And I still remember that as being so valuable. So that's pretty neat. That's going to be a great session.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting close to time here, just in terms of, like, we could go all day on the content. And if you're not, I guess I would say this: if you're not already excited based on what we've shown you, this is all that is the pre-days, the pre-days, and then the very first half of the day. So, like, we're just getting started. If that's not enough for you, then I don't really know what is. But one thing I did want to say, I want to say thanks to all of you guys. One of the if you haven't registered yet, use this right here, or I guess down here, Empath 100. That's going to save you $100 on your ticket. So register, use that code. Thank you to the Right of Boom crew for letting Empath have that code. Use that and go ahead and register. If you're already registered, you're like, you know what, I want to add a couple of my extra people, add them to it. We're not going to go retroactively or anything because you've already registered, but if you bring some more people, as Zach said, why would you not do that? It's something I think is really, really important to make sure that we're investing in a lot of people at our companies, because they're going to come away with what's valuable. As we kind of start to wrap here, Zach, I want to kind of turn to you, from an MSP to other MSPs. What would you say to them? What would you say if they say, why Right of Boom? Why should I make time out to go to this next year? What would you say?
Yeah, I think I tied back to the previous point, which is, you build culture through inclusion, right? And I think that's true in a number of different ways. But just the fact that this is so much easier to justify, that it has real value, that makes the business case much easier to articulate, gives you many more opportunities and examples to bring more people from your team along, right? Like we talk a lot about building a security culture. We talk a lot about, just how to get people interested and involved. And I know I've had a lot of people ask, hey, how do I get started in cybersecurity? And my advice has always been like, identify where you're at and see how you can, provide value and benefit there. This gives you as a security leader, the opportunity to extend that olive branch, to give people kind of a clear path and say, hey, security is important. I want to bring you along for the journey, and you and you and you, right? It's a lot easier now for me to justify that. You'll get something out of it, and then you'll have the opportunity to grow in your own career. So I think just generally speaking, identify the people within your team who are interested in security, who maybe it's that help desk person, and maybe it's a business leader. And on the sales side, there's like a ton of benefit that we've talked about on that. And I'm sure every security leader within an MSP would love if there were a sales leader who were at some level more informed and involved into what security as an approach and security frameworks look like, right? So just think a little bit outside the box on how you can include more people within your organization and build the culture, because what Andrew has done is made it so it's a really easy sell and easy justification for more people to get involved.
I love it. I love it. I'm with you. And I think really this is one of those that I think is a no-brainer of no-brainers, right? I mean, think about the alternative. We're just going to be a ho-hum MSP. You're not going to survive into where we're going. I think the future has never been brighter for MSPs. I think where we're going is one of the most exciting times. I think with not just where cybersecurity has really helped, and not just, but all the things that have come with cybersecurity, from insurance to compliance requirements to the mandates continue to move forward, but then also the introduction of what automation first and AI first is. This is not a more exciting time than now to be part of something that's growing. The question is, are you going to be a part of that? Are you going to invest into that? This is not something that I think you can sit by the wayside and just expect to be the same. The same MSP 3 years from now is not going to be around anymore.
Yeah.
They're just not.
And you don't want it to be, right? Like unprecedented times create opportunities, right? And so like it is very easy, myself included, right? Like I'm sure many of us have all felt anxiety about what the future looks like, especially around AI and stuff. But there is an opportunity for Raymond to say like, hey, we really don't know, right? There's a lot of things that especially we don't know about what the future of cybersecurity and AI in cybersecurity and vice versa look like. And there's that, it just creates opportunity for people to kind of grow into it and to build and to just try things and to set the example. Like there have been a lot of people who have done work in the past, and there's going to be a lot more work to adapt those principles to this kind of new set of vulnerabilities and threats.
Yep. That's exactly right. Closing comments, Bob. Any other thoughts that you have? You just want to share with those that are listening today or on the rebroadcast?
No, I just hope they're weighing the value that we've kind of started presenting here, because like you pointed out, you only got to about the first part of the first real day, right? So I mean, they need to really go take a look at that agenda and see the volume of content. And the quality of these sessions are just, there's no comparison this year over others. I just think this is like I said, I feel strongly this is a knock it out of the park blueprint that we're going to be trying to duplicate go forward. And there's no way as an MSP that the value is not there for you now. I think there's I just don't think if you do the math and you do it honestly, this is going to be the right investment.
Completely agree. Andrew, I'm really excited about this. I'm super pumped for the amount of work that you and the advisory committee has put into this. You've earned your salt in terms of proving the value to get such well-known speakers that are going to come in, they're going to share and contribute. I'm just so excited for it. The MSP space needs this. And so I just want to say thank you for once again putting this on. It's going to be awesome. Andrew, why don't you take us out? Any final comments, thoughts?
Just grateful for the time, Wes, on your channel. Excited to be sharing the stage with you again. It's been, this will be it's been 2 years, so it was 3 years, so it'll be a lot of fun. Really excited to have you back, and thank you to all MSPs who support us, who are going to be part of it. I'm excited to see you all. So have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I hope to see a lot of Lyra MSPs there. I'm not, wink, wink. I'm not going to say that I'm going to be looking extra deep to the ones that are
Taking names.
I love it. I know there are going to be a whole bunch of Lyra umbrella MSPs there. That's for sure. For sure. All right. Well, thank you all for watching today. Once again, QR code up there will get you in. Empath 100. Let me pop that up real quick as we kind of close out. Use that. That is on behalf of the Right Boom crew. It'll take $100 off any new tickets, and get this involved. I think the best thing you can do between now and it starting, will you share this out? Let people know that you're going to Right Boom. That's really, I think, one of the biggest things you can do. To the whole crew, Andrew, Bob, Zach, thank you all for joining me today.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Bob.